debates and decisions that are shaping our continent now in Europeans.
Mirko is Slovenian. His wife, Branka, is Croatian. For years they've been crossing this river which separates their homelands. But from January 2008, when Slovenia must implement the Schengen Agreement, security is to be heightened considerably along this natural border.
We've been using this little boat from the beginning. My parents lived and worked the land in Croatia. They also had vines on the Slovenian side that they looked after. We've always used a boat for crossing the border and tending to the land.
We don't really know what's going to happen when the Schengen border comes in, or how we're going to deal with the police. Until now it's always gone fine, but for the future we'll have to see. What's certain is that we'll continue to cross the frontier until the end of our days, even if it's illegal.
For them, it would be unthinkable to cut the cord that's united the two communities for decades in order to create one of the Schengen area's most heavily surveyed borders. An independent country since 1991, the ex-Yugoslav Republic has long had its eyes turned towards the West. Slovenia is proud of its Austro-Hungarian heritage and sets itself aside from its Balkan neighbours. The differences are most visibly economic and cultural, and the vast majority of Slovenians are Catholic. The population itself has been described as homogeneous. But for Brankica Petkovic, a specialist on Slovenian minorities, ethnic diversity exists, but has been papered over for political reasons.
The 10 years of efforts to become EU members, to reorganize institutions and change legislation was spent in the mood that ignored real social relations, including the issue of social fabric, inter-ethnic relations, status of minorities from former Yugoslavia, status of Roma, and after we became member of EU and that goal was achieved, then all these problems came to surface.
Mateusz Krivic is a lawyer for an association known as the Erased. People who had come to Slovenia from ex-Yugoslavian states were required to officially apply for Slovenian nationality after independence. Those that failed to do so were literally erased from the records. An estimated 18,000 erased citizens lost all their rights. Dragica was one of them. She came from Croatia before independence. When she was erased, she lost her job and faced deportation. She sent her daughter to stay with her grandparents in Bosnia. After years of legal and administrative struggles, Dragica finally got her permanent residence permit. Her daughter didn't.
They only gave her a 5-year residence status without social cover or health care.
According to the ruling of the Constitutional Court, the government should acknowledge also to her their status of permanent residence, but they are rejecting all.
When they gained independence, all they wanted to do was get rid of us. If they could have, they'd have put us in trains and thrown us out. It hasn't changed. They're all like that. Politicians, people in the street, they shout, "Immigrant, what do you want here?"
Slovenia's constitutional court has judged the erasing illegal and demanded the state restore rights to those that have been denied them. Around 4,000 are still waiting. The erased are the least fortunate of the estimated 200,000 migrants of other ex-Yugoslav states. This 10% of the Slovenian population is still considered as immigrant, regardless of the years spent living there. But not all minorities are dealt with in the same way.
There are significant differences between the minorities. There are two so-called autochthonous minorities, the Italian and Hungarian minority, which are fully recognized by the Constitution. On the other hand, we have the immigrant minorities with almost no such rights. For now, it is not an issue. It can become an issue, of course, if the members of these minorities decide to claim certain rights for themselves.
One minority calling out for its rights is Slovenia's Muslim community. Around 50,000 Muslims, mostly from Bosnia-Herzegovina, make up the country's second religion. But there are no mosques in Slovenia. To celebrate the end of Ramadan, Slovenia's Muslims have come to a sports centre in the capital, Ljubljana. Their request for a religious and cultural centre there has been accepted by authorities, but public opinion is against it.
There are some reasons, of course, political, but there are also, in some way, fear of the mosque. We just want to show that we are really normal citizens like others. It is very difficult to repeat every day that we are normal, moderate Muslims, that we do not like anything beside our prayer to be performed in that mosque, to have some educational, cultural programs and so on.
The leadership of Slovenia's Muslim community is actually to be found in Bosnia-Herzegovina, a cause of concern for some who remain suspicious of foreign interference. A small minority of Slovenian Muslims want to break from Sarajevo and adhere to their own Slovenian identity. Outside of religious circles, others are also trying to provide an outlet for communities. Admir presents the only Bosnian language show broadcast in Slovenia on student radio in Ljubljana. The programme receives a small subsidy, but the Italian and Hungarian communities have more media space and opportunities. Do the non-recognised Slovenian minorities risk losing their voice?
My generation, for instance, is already assimilated, or their kids will be. So they will no longer be Bosnian, but they will Slovenize, if I can say it like that. Now, is that good or is that bad? I mean, I let everybody to make a judgment for themselves. For me, a society which has more cultural identities within it is a richer society, and I would personally support that kind of development and not the homogenizing and bringing everything down to just one culture, to just one type of identity.